Together with our differences, together we are bolder, braver, stronger.
Have you ever noticed how often you say the words, "I'm just not motivated"? Somehow, the lack of motivation has become the explanation for almost everything you haven't done. When I feel motivated, I'll start. So, you avoid making that phone call. You postpone that workout, delay the conversation, and put off that dream you've been talking about for years. What if lack of motivation isn't the problem? What if you've simply become very good at believing excuses that are reasonable? Welcome to Holding Conversations, the space where we use conversations to turn life's transitions into lessons for growth. Here's the interesting thing about excuses. They often sound reasonable and honest. I'm waiting for the right time. I need to do more research. Things are just busy right now. I'll start after the season of life. Perhaps you've said some of these things. I know I have, and sometimes they're true. But most of the time, the stories will repeat so often that we stop questioning them, not because they're facts, but because they've become familiar. The danger isn't the excuse itself. The danger is believing it without examining it, because once a story becomes familiar, it begins to feel like reality. Motivation is wonderful, but it was never designed to carry the weight of our life decisions. Feelings are powerful, but they're also temporary. So if your decisions depend on your emotions, your direction will change every time your emotions do. Think about the people you admire the most: our teachers, our parents, leaders, entrepreneurs. Do you believe they woke up every day overflowing with motivation? Or did they simply decide that commitment mattered more than mood? Perhaps maturity begins the moment we stop asking, "Do I feel like it?" and start asking, "Is it worth doing anyway?" Excuses don't only help us avoid efforts, they help us avoid exposure. When you say, "I'm not ready," what you really mean is, "I'm afraid I'll fail." When you say, "I don't have enough time," what you really mean is, "I'm not willing to make this a priority." Excuses are rarely about the task. They're often about the emotion hiding underneath them: fear, perfectionism, rejection, embarrassment, uncertainty. The excuses become easier to confront than the feeling. So you keep negotiating with the excuse instead of facing the fear. You spend a lot of time questioning other people. But how often do you question yourself? Not your what, your reasoning. When your mind says you need more confidence, do you ask, or do I simply need to begin? When it whispers, "Now isn't the time," do you ask, or am I simply protecting myself from discomfort? Self-awareness isn't knowing your strength alone. It's learning not to believe every thought that offers you an easy way out, because the stories we repeat become the lives we defend. Discipline can sometimes be misunderstood. It's not about becoming harder or colder or endlessly productive. It's about becoming more honest. Honest enough to recognize the story that keeps you standing still. To admit when fear has crowded your voice of logical reasoning. Honest enough to choose action even when certainty hasn't arrived. Every meaningful life is built the same way. Not through dramatic bursts of inspirations, but through quiet decisions repeated over time. One conversation, one page, one workout, one apology, one application, one difficult step after another. The extraordinary is usually built inside the ordinary. Maybe you spent all these years looking for motivation when what you really needed was a conversation with yourself. Not one filled with criticism, but one filled with honesty. The kind of honesty that asks, is this really impossible? Or is this simply uncomfortable? These are different questions, and your answer can change your life. Now here's my call to action. Ask yourself today, what stories have I been telling myself that has kept me exactly where I am? Because ultimately, the life you want to live may not be waiting for a stronger version of you. It may simply be waiting for a more honest version of you. The moment you stop negotiating with every excuses, you create room for every possibilities. Not because the journey became suddenly easier, but because you stopped letting your feelings make decisions that your values were meant to make. Now share with a friend, and subscribe to the channel. And until next time, keep holding space for growth, for grace, and for greatness.
Together with our differences, together we are bolder, braver, stronger.